Alright, let's finish this damn thing up. So, the knife is done. The the stipulation was that it have a lid, and now this is the entire process of making the lid, plus or minus some repetitive bits. Even though most of this process is fairly repetitive from the get-go. This piece that we picked out last time, it's got the right size, it's got the right shape. It'll make a decent cap, especially if the person making it doesn't royally screw up. You know what I mean? And as is tradition, I will be rip cutting something for minutes longer than necessary. But it's the same deal. Cut it at a 45-degree angle one side, flip it over, cut it at a 45-degree angle the other side, flip it over, try and keep it flat and happy, and it all works out. I'm using the vastly superior saw of the saws that I have to do that too. It's stiffer, teeth are angrier. It feels really good for just like a normal store ass bought saw. Don't know how I forgot the word saw. But yeah. Business as usual so far. Now, the next couple times I do this, I should be measuring where I cut both sides. Just because you've already seen it too, I did flatten the two sections and before I did this. And instead of drilling the hole all the way through it, I'm just making an area that the bolster can sit pretty in. And that's it. That little piece of brass is a surrogate for my knife handle, or my knife bolster, because it's what I cut the bolster out of. And much like how I mortised, I think that's the right word. Much like how I mortised the tang area in the knife handle, I'm going to make a little recess in this wood, and that is where the knife blade will sit. With the exception that we don't epoxy the blade into the knife handle, or the knife cap. Because that's completely pointless and destructive, and it would ruin the entire thing. Why would you even suggest it? I have to admit though, this knife is completely functional at this point. And while I'm happy that my brother got it, man, I like this knife. It's like a beefy X-Acto blade. Sharp at the point, sharp on the sides. Anyway. So, making some light taps to make some deeper cuts with this chisel. I did all this with not power tools, the opposite of power tools. Human-powered tools. And it worked out. I will say you have to be really careful when you're tapping down because you can split the wood along the grain like that. And on the second half, that did happen. But no, it was this half. I'm glad I left that lesson in there. I thought I took it out. Basically, the split was really clean. There was no loss of material, and water-thin super glue is what I'm going to use to stop that from ever being visible again. But it did not make me feel super smart. As many things don't. Using the knife to finish a part of the knife is still just super cool to me. Yeah, once it sits about halfway in, flip it over and do it on the other side. I am going to spare you from watching the exact same thing again, though. So yeah, super glue on the outside that is water thin will wick into that crack, and super thin super glue on the inside to protect the wood from wear as much as it can. It's basically a plastic coating on the inside of the knife. And that worked out, as far as I know, it works out just fine. Even the crosscut side of this saw is a piece of shit. God, I hate that saw. Anyway, yeah, now that I don't need all that extra stock room, I can start shaping the cap. Before I do that, I glue it together. Clean it with acetone, wood glue, same procedure as the handle. And because I'm also a little nervous, I keep putting the knife in and out of the hole just to make sure that it actually is big enough. Because if I glue it together and it's too small, it'd just be a giant pain in the ass to get that groove to be any bigger. And this is the first time, I think, since I've started doing any project where that is literally the most clamps that I could use. I'm kind of impressed. So those little overhangs, they won't matter. Because our buddy's back. The Shinto rasp. I think that thing was like $15. For a $15 tool, it's doing like $100 worth of work to me. I absolutely adore it. Again, they're not sending me any money, and they're never going to. This is the same procedure as before too. Get the little overhang down, get the grooves down, get it flat. And the next time I do all this, I will be marking things out every time because there's no downside to planning. But just look at how fast this damn thing goes. Especially at 4 times speed with a rabid monkey behind the goddamn camera. I flip-flopped many times on what I should do shape-wise. Eventually I settled on something that has more angles, but I did it round to start with. And while I liked how it felt like it could slip, and slipping around knives seems like a really bad idea. Slipping in general when using a knife, when trying to start using a knife, that's a little unnerving. So I gave it some geometry that would make it, oh no, it probably makes it easier to slip. But we haven't gotten there yet. So yeah, just take it down to an octagon, which I remembered that word this time. Take the octagon corners down to more round, and that's pretty much the start of something that looks like it has 8 oblong sides that are roundish. It's not a circle at all yet, which is fine. Marking it out probably also would have helped me keep everything more even. I want to make a really nice round thing before too long, just to make sure that I can do it. 100 grit flexible sandpaper. Fucking beast. Hey, it still fits. Well, it fits when you put it on the right way. There we go. Yeah, it fits in tight enough that it doesn't slip out. It has enough grip that I'm not worried about it just like the cap just slipping off. And you can kind of sort of just jam it in there and not worry about it. That's it. So after all that sanding, I take one side down to flattish, a flat taper, and thinking back on it, I could have taken that taper in even further, but it really doesn't matter at this point. There's what I could have done, what I did, and what I'm going to do next time. And quite frankly, what I'm going to do next time, to me, is more important, because I will have learned from this time. Which is just how normal learning works, I suppose. Yeah, it's time to get rid of the last bit of dead weight. Good job covering the camera, dude. Using the knife to finish the knife. I believe the other way of saying that is teamwork makes the dream work. And the other way of saying that is DreamWorks makes the team work. Or the DreamWorks team makes the you know what, that doesn't matter. With every scrap that I make from, or every scrap of steel that I have from a bigger knife, I'm going to make a tiny knife out of it. Because I feel everybody should have a small knife that is both utility and feels as good as a bigger knife. And by everybody, I mean anybody that really actually wants one, because everybody wants different shit, you know what I'm saying? I know what I'm saying. Don't write that. Come on, man. Fine. Yeah, using the paper towel and blue tape for extra grip without destroying the handle. That's the only way to go on this. If I scratched the handle right now, I would not be happy. And going back over the Shinto rasps, more deeper cuts. The finer file does a really good job taking those down. And if this cap was a little bigger, I think I would get more of that like spalted whatever the hell that stuff is. It's really cool. The texture of the wood. I'm almost positive it's spalted maple. Almost. But if I'm wrong about anything, just tell me. That is A-okay. And if I argue with you, it means that I think I'm right. And if I argue with you on the internet, then I'm definitely wrong. Almost. 100% of the time. Except that when I'm right. But you're going to cut most of this out, right? It's just rambling. Fine. Going back over it with 320 flexible grit sandpaper. I'm using a flat back just so that it doesn't completely round out everything. And now you're seeing the final stropping. My hair, the hair on my arm looks awful. Tiny though the piece may be, oil it will get. Any excess oil will go onto the knife. Again, it's not going to hurt it. The copper skull in the background's just there for moral support. Yeah, I found it really nice that it sort of turned this sort of cream color. It's gorgeous. And the rest of that wood has still been saved. Nothing gets thrown away. Except for sawdust, and even then, I need to make sure I'm in the habit of throwing away sawdust if I don't have a use for it. Yeah, it's a really pretty knife, if I do say so myself. And it came out more than sufficient for its needs, and much more fancy than it was asked to be, which I will also count as a win in my book. You can see some scratches on the back there. I'm still working on getting things to be pretty and scratch free and not destroy the edge somehow. So be patient with me on that, and I will get better. Yeah. This is just kind of me showing off at this point, because I'm proud of it. You get to see every scratch and every blemish you can see. No point in hiding it. It's a sharp knife. It works. The only thing that I didn't really do was work on the spine of the knife, which is starting to become a fucking trademark of mine because I keep forgetting to, and I just end up touching it with a little bit of sandpaper and being satisfied with that, because it reminds me that it was something else. Even though it has the file marks, it has the marks of an asshole with a file making it into something else. But yeah. The straightness of the cap could also be improved on the whole. But its function as a pencil sharpener is likely going to be undisputably satisfying. And I just kind of go ham on it because this is just a little piece of basswood. It's made for carving, or I got it in a block of carving wood. I'm pretty satisfied with how it works. And how absurdly aggressive it can be. And chip cutting, that's right. That is one of the functions of that point of that blade. Chip carving? No. Fight me in the comments. Don't, I'm a lousy fighter. Yeah, it had no problem cleaning off an entire side of that. Like, I was so tickled with that. There it is. Thank you for watching. The next knife will be hopefully something special as well. This one's done. Everybody have a good everything. Bye.